Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome back to the old computer shack. Here we have the PDP-11 again, and I've got some new cards for it. Here's a new 1173 CPU. This is the B revision that doesn't have the bug that prevents a floating point unit from working. I still don't have the actual floating point unit, but I got a hold of this card that will actually support one in case I can ever find one. I don't know how much I need one. Supposedly the software floating point in 211 BSD works right nowadays, but reports vary. Also got a grant continuity card. I'm not going to pull that out and show you because there's nothing to it. It's just that some of the bus signals are daisy chained in these QBus on these QBus backplanes. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So when you insert, when you have an empty slot, it doesn't pass like DMA grant requests and shit like that. So you have to use these grant continuity cards that just bridge a couple of pins on the bus, so that those bus signals pass through back to the CPU. And I got a couple of 22-bit 2 megabyte RAM cards. There's one installed right there. I'm not centered here. There. And here's the one that's not installed. This one's not fully populated, but yeah, this one's only got 1 megabyte on it, but it supports 2 megs. So between these two, we can get the full 4 megabyte memory space of the 1173 filled up and have a real nice 211 BSD machine, among other things, RSX11M as well. So anyway, yeah. The problem is this backplane, this test backplane, is only 18 bits wide, and I'm pretty sure that the backplane in the H11 itself is only 16 bits wide. Fortuitously, it's fairly easy to fix that. It's just, going from 18 bits to 22 bits is, of course, 4 lines that need to be connected to convert it to a 22-bit backplane. There are some caveats, though. Now, let me put this away, and I shall share those caveats with you, dear viewer. This is an 11.2 CPU card, and it's a 16-bit card. Now, the way the QBus bus drivers work is they're all open collector drivers. So if you stick a 16-bit card into a 22-bit backplane with 22-bit RAM on it, theoretically it should work fine, because those extra 6 address lines aren't floating at an unknown value. They're always pulled high, I guess, well, supposedly, by the CPU card. That's not going to be the case, perhaps with a 16-bit card, but we can use like a bus terminator card to do that for us, probably. And so theoretically, like 22-bit RAM used with a 16-bit CPU card, the lower 64K of that RAM should, I think, still function just fine with a 16-bit card, because those unused address lines aren't going to be floating, so it'll still be hitting the same RAM whenever it accesses its 64K little window there, right? The problem is that the high 4 address lines on the 11.2 and I think also on the 11.3 CPU card expose some internal CPU signals on these cards, and I suspect that when used with 22-bit RAM, that's going to show up as like random values on the highest 4 address lines and cause it to address the wrong RAM when it's trying to do stuff, and that would be unfortunate. So after we convert the backplane to 22 bits, I think it's pretty likely that at least when we're using 22-bit RAM to test 16-bit cards, CPU cards, it's not going to work. I'm probably going to get excommunicated for this, but I think my solution to this is going to just be to cut those 4 traces right down here next to the edge connector on the 11.2 CPU card, because nothing actually uses them. It's not going to make it not work in a 16-bit backplane, right? So the traces we want are on the component side of the B tab, starting with the 3rd one in from the right. It's these 4. So I'll just cut them right up above the fingers there, and then if we ever have to reconnect them, we can just get in there with a soldering iron and bridge them with a little solder glob in each of those places, and everything should be fine. I kind of hate to do that, but that's much less of a pain in the ass than converting the backplane back to 18 bits every time I want to like do something with a 16-bit CPU card, right? Anyway, so let's look at the back of this backplane. We can just it's got these tabs here. We can turn this over without fucking any of the cards up. The back of the backplane has all of these wire wrap pins on it, so it's really easy to convert it to 22 bits. We just take those 4. Let's see, on the B side. Yeah, that's going to be this one, right? Yeah. We just take, these 4 lines and connect them to the 4 lines over here, and then we just wrap them around in the same order that the slots are daisy chained in on the board. Because see, we were talking about the backplane. The bus goes from slot A to B to C to D like this. It goes in it wraps around here like this, and then goes this way and then that way, right? So we have to connect our, well, I guess we don't have to, but it's good to keep the traces on the bus about the same length. It may not actually matter on a slow bus like this, but let's do it that way anyway, just in case. So we just take our handy dandy wire wrap tool and some handy dandy Kynar wire. We take our handy dandy wire wrap tool with our handy dandy striptificator, and if you've never wire wrapped before, it's not terribly difficult. There's a kink in the wire here. I'm gonna cut that off and get rid of it. We just strip a little bit of wire out. There's about the same length as the slot on the side of your wire wrap tool, right? Let's zoom in a little here. Ka-chunk. With the striptificator, right? Easy peasy. And then in the end of your wire wrap tool, there's a hole in the center and there's a hole on the side. You just stick the bare wire up the side hole, right? And then the center hole goes over your pin and you turn it. That's all there is to it. So we'll start with the second one in. We just slide it down over the pin and turn it until it consumes all of the wire. And voila! It is wire wrapped, and we'll just run that along here down to the D side and go to the third pin in, this one right here. Leave ourselves a good bit of enough slack there. Get our striptificator, put it in about the right place. We'll leave a little bit of extra insulation, just so everything's happy, right? And striptificate. I didn't leave myself quite enough wire there, but it'll be fine. Nothing to worry about. Get it up the side hole, down over the post. My wire's not in the right place. Get down there, you shit ass. There we go. it came out. It slipped out. Story of my life. When you don't have much to work with, you gotta make do with what you got, right? Yes, sir. Down over the pin, which is a little bent, and wrap it up. And then we'll just go from there, yeah, down to this one, right here, and then we'll go over to this one, right, and down, and over, and blah, 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 until it's all wrapped. And we'll do that with all 4 of those pins. And then it's converted to 22-bit. Easy peasy. Nothing to it. I have a helper now. Are you helping, Mr. Beefy? Now that you jumped up in my lap and made me drop everything. You guys will have to see my head in the way now. I had to redo that first one because I got it in the wrong place. Because it's a hell of a lot easier to see what you're doing from the top down, you know what I'm saying? Are you helping, Mr. Beefy? You're such a helpful boy. Ho ho ho. Don't like the noise, huh? Don't like the noise, huh? I've seen old guys that can do this like 10 times faster and make everything lay down perfectly flat and like be all pretty and shit. I'm not nearly as good at wire wrapping as that, but I reckon it'll work. Right, Mr. Beefy? Now the big question in my mind is how many of these did I fuck up? Because I am just about ready to fuck up here. Mr. Beefy, I'm glad you caught that mistake. Yes. At least it's easy to undo wire wrap, huh? That's right. I almost fucked up there, Mr. Beefy. What would we have done then? We would have cursed as the magic smoke came out, and you would have been scared of the smell. Is it delicious? You know, Conar wire is very expensive, and every little bit of insulation you chew off of that is less that I can use later. That's right. But I'm a cat. It's what I do. I know. That's why I can't be mad at you. Just don't eat any of the little insulation thingers. That would probably not do well for your kitty digestive tract, huh? Oops, I bit the pen. Hey, Mr. Fluffles. You want in on this action? You want in on this action? Somebody's getting pets that isn't me, says Mr. Fluffles. Alright, now I've got to do all the little jumperoos between the things. Alright, so there's the completed 22-bit conversion. Like I said, I'm not the world's greatest wire wrapper, but I think it'll do. Well, as is often the case when I'm involved with a project, there was some dumbass fiddlefuckery involved here. I slotted my RAM back in there and my serial card and switched back to the old 1173 CPU, just in case we smoked something, and the console wouldn't come up. And I fucked around and thought, well, maybe it's my Heathkit serial card went bad. So I tried to fix this digital card and jumper it to the right speed and IO address and all of that shit, and it didn't work. It still doesn't work. It causes a memory error for some reason, even though it shouldn't be outside of the IO segment. I don't know what the deal with that is. Anyway, I found out I just had Minicom running on the wrong fucking serial port. Dev TTY S1 instead of TTY USB 1. Duh. But in any case, hope I don't have any porn tabs open up there. Nope. Okay, good. Yeah, as you can see, it's testing 2 megabytes of RAM, happily, and all appears to be well. So, yay! 22-bit backplane. It'll be a little more difficult to do that on the actual H11 backplane because it doesn't have wire wrap pins. It's all just soldered in there. So I'll have to solder jumper wires in to do it. But you know, that's fine. And by the way, I keep forgetting to mention, if you go down in the thing down there where stuff is, there, right, yeah, down there, someplace around here. There's a link to a bunch of shit on my crappy website, and in that list of links you can find a Discord server and a Matrix server if, like me, you're a little dubious of Discord. But you should join it. It's totally toxic and out of control. Actually, it's not as bad as it used to be, but I still like saying that because it amuses me. But you can help it. You can help it be not out of control by joining and acting like an actual normal person, and it'll be a glorious time. We can talk about old computers and old radios and whatever else comes to mind. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go eat lunch. Bye.